Hey everyone, my name is Jay and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I know I have been talking a lot about Snowball debt payment, paying off my debt, and there is some of you that don't know what I'm talking about. So today is the day that I'm going to talk about the two methods that you can use to pay off your debt. So there's two methods that most people use to pay off their debt. Is the debt avalanche method and the snowball debt method. So what are these two? It's pretty easy and it's pretty easy to understand. So the debt avalanche method is method that people use to pay off their debt, but in the order of high interest rate. So whichever debt you have that has high interest rate, you should tackle that first. And in the end of your journey, you're gonna save a lot of money from interest using this method. I want to show you an example of what the debt avalanche looks like. You have this debt. So the first debt that you have costs you probably, let's say, $2,000. The next one would be $3,000. The other one would be $7,000. And the last one would be probably $30,000. So now let's say the first one is the lowest amount, but it also have 30% interest. So if you want to use the debt avalanche method, you're going to tackle that first debt that has the very high interest. And sometimes that debt that has high interest would be your biggest debt as well. So you tackle the debt that has high interest first, and then you move on to the next debt that has lower interest rate. But if you want to tackle that first debt, you have to make sure that you also make minimum payments on those other debts. Let's move on to the debt snowball method. The debt snowball method now means tackling your debt from the lowest amount of debts. Like for example, you have 4 debts. First one you owe $700. The next one you owe $1,500. The next one you owe is $3,000, and the last one you owe $10,000. So you have to put your debt in order and tackle the lowest amount of debt, which is, what did I say, $700. So you tackle that first, pay off that, move on to the next. What I use personally is the debt snowball method. Why? Because for me, I want to see progress. I want to see that first small debt is paid off, and that will motivate me moving on to paying off my next one. Which method do you want to use? It's really up to you. Do your research, see what you're comfortable of doing. If you want to save down the road paying interest, I would suggest you go ahead and use the debt avalanche method. But if you want to see progress and see that first small debt will get knocked off in a few months, then go ahead and use the debt snowball method. We're humans. You know, it's all psychological. It's all in our head. Once we see that first debt knocked off, it gets us motivated. Like it encourages us to do more and put money more into our debts. I have small balls here that represent my debts. Let's say I have 4 different debts. These are my debts. This is my first debt, second, third, and fourth. And this one has the lowest amount on it. Let's say I have $800 on this, $1,500 on this, $2,500 on this, and $10,000 on this one. Here is our money. For all my debt, I find out and already know what my minimum payment has to be. So for this one, my minimum is $30. So I will put 3 coins on this. The other one, I put $40 minimum payment on it. The third one, I put $60 minimum on it. And the third one, I put $300 in it. $300 on this one. So those are my minimum. Now that I know my minimum payment for all my debts, now I figure out my budgets. I didn't start tackling my debt without knowing my monthly budgets. That's the first thing you have to do. Because for you to be able to know the snowball amount that you're going to put on your first debt to pay it off, you have to make sure that your household expenses is covered for the month, and whatever money you have left will be put in to pay off your debts. So how are you going to do that? You have to figure out your budget. You have to go through all of your expenses, unfortunately. For the last 3 months, make a list. This is going to be an awakening for you. This is going to be an eye-opening for you, because now listing all those expenses, you are going to see your expenses for each category. How much you spend for food, how much you spend for your utilities, how much did you put for your rent or your mortgage, how much did you pay for your insurance. Every single categories in your household, like expense group, now you're gonna see how much you spent. On the first attempt to figure out your budgets, you're not gonna see any money left over. Maybe you do, maybe you earn a lot more than most people and you're living below your means, but most of us, including me, when the first time I sat down and make a list of our expenses, I have figured out that we're living way above our means. And that's why I incurred this debts. And now that I have figured out how much money I have per month to put it into my debt, now I'm going to start paying off my debts. Okay, so now that I figure out my minimum, and now I figure out how much money at the end of the month that I'm able to put in debt, now I could start paying off my debt. So for each month that I started, I have $30 put in this first debt. Now I have 30 or 300 more dollars that I could put into all of my debt. So I'm gonna put that here. So now on my 800 credit card debts, I have put in 330 for the first month since I started paying off my debt, while I pay minimum on the rest. Once this get paid off, I could now move on to the next one. This $330 that I put on this debt, I could take that all now because this debt is paid off. So we're not gonna deal with that, but we're gonna take the minimum amount and the snowball payment amount from this debt to this debt. So now we're gonna tackle this one. So I have 330 extra money to put towards this debt, plus I already is paying $40 for this one. So we are paying a total of $370 every month until this debt is done. Once this debt is done, we could now go in paying off this one. So the $370 now is gonna go towards this debt on top of the $60 that we are already paying. So 370 plus the 60, that will make it $430 payment towards the, what did I say earlier, $2,200, $2,500 credit card debts. So we're gonna put that in here. So once this pay off, I'm still paying minimum towards the rest of my debt. Once this paid off, all that $430 or $40 will take all of that and tackle my $10,000 debt. You also have to think about this. While you're paying off those other debt, paying minimum on it, you're lowering down your debt already. So with this $10,000, and I'm already paying $300 minimum, plus the 430 snowball amount that I'm putting in $700 towards this debt. If you're sticking to your budget and you're sticking to your plan, $700 to pay off $10,000 won't take you no time to pay off. But you have to follow the rule. You still have to pay the minimum amount of your other debt while you're tackling one debt. And taking off the minimum amount you're paying from this paid off debt on top of your snowball amount every month, which we started as $300. that's basically what it is. I hope you kind of get the concept, but that's basically how the debt snowball method works. It works the same concept as the debt avalanche method. The only difference is you're tackling the highest interest debt first instead, or in comparison to the smaller debt first, but they're all the same. The process is the same, but the rule is kind of different because you're tackling high interest against low debt amounts. It's up to you to decide which method you want to use, like which method works best for your situation. This is what I use, and this is what I'm going to use moving forward, and I hope you guys kind of get an idea from this, and I hope that you're able to start doing your budget and then paying off your debt, and we're going to be all debt free and happy, hopefully. I hope this video helps you a little bit. I hope this video encourages you and motivates you to do something with your money. Thank you so much for watching this video again. Thanks a lot for tuning in and coming back. I hope you subscribe and like this video as well, and hit the notification bell just so you get notified every time I put in content. So that's it for today. Thank you again, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!